Another brazen provocation by Pakistan, and this time Pakistan has tried to internationalize the Kashmir issue. It has in fact written to the United Nations Chief Ban Ki-moon on the security situation along the line of control and the international border. Pakistan has sought United Nations intervention in resolving the issue. In a letter to UN Chief Ban Ki-moon, advisor to Pakistan Prime Minister on National Security and Foreign Affairs Sartaj Aziz accused India of deliberate and unprovoked violations of ceasefire agreement and cross-border firing over the past weeks. Pakistan had failed to draw attention of the international community after Prime Minister Narendra Modi refrained from reacting to his Pakistan counterpart Nawaz Sharif's Kashmir rant in United Nations General Assembly. Let me go across to Editor Strategic Affairs Gaurav Sawant for more on this. Gaurav, Pakistan, another attempt by them to internationalize the issue. It doesn't seem that their provocation on the border seems to be enough.
In fact, the provocation on the border and the line of control is just a ploy to raise the Jammu and Kashmir issue at the United Nations and also with other powers that Pakistan has desperately been trying to do. My sources in the government tell me that there is a pattern to Pakistan's operations, not just at the international border, also at the line of control, and the timing is directly commensurate with actions being taken internationally and to raise it in international fora.
Yeah.
But once again, sources saying that this will boomerang completely on Pakistan, because even the UN realizes that Kashmir is a bilateral issue after the Simla Agreement and the Lahore Declaration, Ankit. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Gaurav Sawant, for bringing us those updates. Of course, Pakistan time and again has been trying to get some mileage out of the Kashmir issue, but it seems that all their efforts are falling flat. Pakistan is back to its treacherous ways at the international border. It's now emerging that a recent lull for 2 days in Pakistan fighting was triggered by a visit of a United Nations team. The PAK ranges showed the damages on Pakistan's side to the visiting United Nations team. Even though BSF had merely retaliated to Pakistan firing, Pakistan showed it as India's provocation to international community. After the United Nations team departed, fresh shelling has been started by Pakistan Rangers in Urnia and Arispura sectors. Pakistan Rangers fired mortar shells on 17 BSF border outposts in Jammu on international border during last night and stopped at 5:30 a.m. In fresh shelling and firing by Pakistani Rangers, Surjit Kumar, a resident of Urnia Jobal village got injured. He suffered splinter injuries from mortar shells fired by Pakistan Rangers. Let me go across to my colleague Kamaljeet Sandhu, who is joining us from Jammu, in fact, from the border areas of the state. Kamaljeet, another failed propaganda by Pakistan, only 2 days of lull because a UN team was visiting there.
Pakistan is back to playing its old games. The entire silence of the guns at the borders for 2 days was only because of the UN team which was visiting Pakistani areas. They tried to have a propaganda to show that India was the one which was indulging in firepower and damaging Pakistani posts and towns. But the fact remains it is the other way around. Pakistani Rangers have not only indulged in unprovoked firing at the BSF posts but also fired upon Indian villages and towns. They're also using UAVs to target Indian towns specifically, and we obviously know that this entire ploy has been done just as a propaganda. So Pakistan is very clever. They are keeping the fire open both at the LOC and international border. As soon as the daylight breaks, the firing stops. They do not want to expose themselves, and that is why this entire firing stops. But this is something that Pakistan has been up to, playing its old games.
Kamal, what about what specific border outposts that have been in fact targeted by Pakistan in this latest round of firing?
Well, during the entire night, they were obviously firing down on 17 BOPs of BSF. There was a heavy retaliation, and we've seen for the first time BSF retaliating very aggressively. compared to the past few years. Even in terms of strength, they are 3:1. That means if there are 3 BSF Jawans, there is 1 to Pakistani Ranger. So obviously India has that certain strength. Now they're using that strength against Pakistan. But obviously Pakistan is planning and using its old ploys. They keep indulging in unprovoked firing at any given point of time.